Good evening. We're so happy that you are here tonight and want to make sure that everybody is happy and comfortable. We've got a wonderful presentation for you tonight, and we've been holding these calls for the past couple of weeks in honor of the information that I've been studying about electromagnetic frequencies and the water and the eye water and also cleaning your water. And so tonight we have a special guest speaker on, and I have put Dr. Carpenter's amazing bio. He is the author of Change Your Water, Change Your Life, and the 5 Pillars of Health. He's a naturopath MD, and I'm so grateful that he has willingly accepted the invitation to come and to share the knowledge that he's had for many years prior to even the information that I now am privy to. And so I just did the mute, but I cannot get this little thing to go down. Just a second. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to share a little background of water and what is in your water and what are you drinking, just to kind of bring it home and to have you think and get ready to ask questions. And as the questions come up, you'll be able to ask those of Dr. Carpenter. But here we go. And I have always been a water lover, as I'm sure the rest of you are too. And as a little girl, I had older sisters, and they'd have these big, deep conversations with my parents, and they were always way over my head. So I would bring water to my family as we sat around the living room, and I was the water girl, and I would carry water and serve water, and I loved water. And then I had a gastric bypass 12 years ago, and that left me so that I could not drink, stomach, swallow, or ingest water of any kind. I would get horrific stomach aches, and it was just, water was no longer a joy for me. I became deeply dehydrated, and it was not fun. And Linda Hart, who's on the call, knows what I'm saying, because she was the one that had to scoop me up off the ground. I didn't know I was suffering from dehydration, but because I couldn't drink water without getting these horrific stomach aches, I just didn't know what was going on. So I'm going to just start with this and just share this with you, and then I'm going to turn the time over to Dr. Carpenter for the things that he's going to share with us about single file aligned water. But the first part, my part, is pretty much what was going on and why I couldn't ingest water. Water is mystical, magical, meditative. We are all drawn to beautiful water, perhaps because every living thing needs water. 70% of our body is water. That's approximately 55 to 60 liters. And we cannot live without water. You're not sick, you're thirsty. This was one of the first books that I read about your body's many cries for water. And this was over 46 years ago. It was discovered that water has a powerful pain-relieving properties and the ability to reverse some diseases. There are signs of dehydration such as high blood pressure, allergies, headaches, back pain, joint pain, and kidney problems, brain fog, asthma, digestive problems, weight gain, and lung disorders. And I began to think about what would happen if you never cleaned your fish tank. And I made this PowerPoint several years ago when I was teaching a group of joy coaches about the study of water that I was so fascinated by. And I thought about a clean fish tank versus a yucky, awful fish tank, and what would happen to our organs. Organs are like dying fish in toxic and unclean water. Would you drink this glass of water? Of course not, but you are. You just don't know it.
Karyn, if you're clicking through slides, we can't see them. At least I can't. I'm still seeing the first one.
Yeah, I can't either, Karyn. I was going to mention the same thing.
Oh, well, I have been clicking through slides. Can you see that one?
No.
Oh, we see the very beginning first one still.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try this one.
Maybe do stop share and then restart the share. There, now it's at the beginning.
Okay. No matter how beautifully you plan for this, you know, it's just so funny how now the entire PowerPoint has disappeared.
Technology always has a mind of its own, it seems like.
Okay. Okay, can you see this? Are you seeing this?
Yeah, you should be good.
Yeah, that's the first page. Yeah, first slide.
Okay.
Now it's working good.
Okay. Here we go. Water is mystical, magical, meditative. We're all drawn to beautiful water, perhaps because every living thing needs water. 70% of our body is water. And I have been so absolutely immersed in joy in discovering that my fascination with what I am completely and mostly made up of is really helping me to heal from the inside out. And I put this picture here because really that's how I felt. That picture is very depictive of how I used to feel. And this picture is very depictive of how I felt as a child. I loved water. And then I got to that place after the gastric bypass where I couldn't stomach it. And I just couldn't subsist without water. So I began to study and read. And I found this book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And Dr. Carpenter is going to share so much more with you about this subject. But over 46 years ago, it was discovered that water has powerful pain-relieving properties and the ability to reverse some diseases. These are some signs of dehydration: high blood pressure, allergies, headaches, back pain, joint pain, kidney problems, brain fog, asthma, digestive problems, weight gain, and lung problems. What would happen if you never cleaned your fish tank? Our body is like the tank. And if we don't change the water, we're going to find that it's murky inside. I had heard once of some nurses that reported that when they were in the hospital delivering babies, that the amniotic fluid that came gushing out of a woman's body in delivery was very much like murky fish tank water. Organs are like dying fish in toxic and unclean water. And our organs, if we don't get enough water, they begin to shrivel up and become dehydrated. And if they're getting toxic, yucky water, they're not functioning at high peak. Would you drink this glass of water? Of course not, but you are. You just don't know it. And I have a friend named Blaine Winder who came to me one day with this electric probe, and he said, Karyn, I'm going to put this probe in a glass of your ordinary tap water. And in 5 minutes, you're going to see how this probe, this electric probe, will strip your ordinary tap water of those things that are concealing the contaminants that are in it. And within 5 minutes, my glass of ordinary tap water had green sludge at the top and looked absolutely horrible. And Blaine looked at me and he said, would you drink this? And I said, of course not. And he said, well, I would. And he took 3 big gulps while I screamed and went, ooh, yuck, ooh, yuck. And, but he told me, this is what is lurking in your water. Erin Brockovich said, I thought this was an isolated case. She found the common belief is that some arm of government, some form of regulation, some type of help is out there to protect us. But she discovered that this was wrong. And if you want to find some interesting things about water, go ahead and look up Last Call at the Oasis and think about this woman who became an advocate for water and environmental safety for 20 years. There are hundreds of pollutants that may be in your drinking water, according to the EWG. Did you know that the EPA approves 1,000 to 2,000 new chemicals each year? Yet our municipal water treatment systems are only required to test for 80 contaminants. There is a false sense of security And we need to face it. Superman isn't coming. Last night at the MultiTier meeting, Kenton Jones, who was the VIP of marketing from MultiTier, he showed a water report for Sandy, Utah, where he said, I have never found a water report yet that doesn't have this on it. You can drink it basically at your own risk, but we are responsible. The public is responsible for making sure that our water is clean before we partake, so to speak. Federal agencies are understaffed, overworked, underfunded, and it's simply not a priority. So we've got to be our own superhero. We've got to make the study, and we've got to alert our friends and our family about the false sense of security that's going on, that we're just here in America, so we're drinking clean water. There's an array of pharmaceuticals, including antibiotics, anticonvulsants, mood stabilizers, and sex hormones, which have all been found in the drinking water of at least 41 million Americans. And that was a statement from the New York Times. So what you think you're getting is this, but what you can't see that you're getting is everybody else's pharmaceuticals. Those things were not meant to be treated in domestic wastewater treatment plants. They cannot possibly deal with the myriad of chemicals that are out there. And this was a statement made by Jim Pinn, plant superintendent in the Newtown Creek wastewater treatment facility. Atrazine, a leading herbicide, was found to be an endocrine disruptor. So if we're having hormone issues, it could be something in the water. Research indicated that even 1 ppb of atrazine in the water turned male frogs into female frogs. The federal standard is 3 ppb. That is 30 times higher than what was known to be harmful. Did you know that some chemicals take as long as 100 years to go away? Banned? So what? We'll feel the effects for years to come. And so all of these disinfectants that are being flushed down the toilets and down our sinks are not all being cleansed from our water. Salt Lake City contaminants alone, the contaminant, if you look at this in the data performance sheet put out by MultiTier, you'll find a 4-page list that Kay and Ron Johnson gave to me. And Kay sat beside me 7 years ago and said, hey, Karyn, you get to choose. Which one do you want to die from? And it was then that I knew that I wanted to clean my water. So arsenic, which is very heavy in Utah, produces cancer and cardiovascular and dermal issues. Trihalomethanes are cancer and reproductive problems. I can't even read that word, but it's for the nervous system, liver, kidney, and reproductive. And the next one, the bromodiluromethanes, produce cancer, liver, kidney, and reproductive issues. And then there's chloroform, which produces cancer, liver, kidney, and reproductive issues. And then tetraloroethylene, which produces cancer, nervous system, and lead, nervous system, kidney, children, and pregnant women. It doesn't produce children. It just causes a problem for children. And then there's the hyoacetic acids, and those are having pending studies. And if you would like a copy of the data performance sheet that MultiTier puts out, I am happy to send that to you. I don't give you anything unless you ask me for it, but just looking at that 4-page list of what is possible contaminants in your water made me sick enough to go make sure that I have clean water. So we're all, we're grateful to have chlorine, because chlorine wraps your water, and it's there to protect your water as it travels through water pipes to get to your tap. But you don't want to eat the wrapping on your chocolate any more than you want to drink the chlorine that wraps your water and protects it from the other poisons that are in your water. So what can we do to take the chlorine out? You can't taste, smell, or see the poisons that are lurking in your drinking water. And over here, there's just a little statement, cancer risk assessment of trihalomethanes in your drinking water. And again, this is just to depict that you cannot see what poisons are lurking in your water. I was really disgusted with this one but I felt like it was visual, and I asked my husband if I should keep this slide in. Waste treatment plants are only required to remove 85 pounds of every 100 pounds of waste. The remaining 15 pounds is allowed to go into the receiving water. And these were condoms that were found at water treatment plants. And because of increasing water shortages, cities are recycling wastewater into drinking water. Coming to a city near you, these are just a few of the newspaper articles that were in our city's papers. Cedar Hills residents get Giardia parasite from dirty water supply. Dry cleaning chemicals fester beneath Canyon Shopping Center. Linden, which is right across the street from me, just right across my street, is Linden. I live in Pleasant Grove on the border, and I can't tell you how many times Linden has been told to boil their drinking water after positive E. coli testing. And then potential for fracking near Moab raises drinking water concerns. You can see that these are very aging, corroded pipes. And this is what our water is traveling through to get to our glass. 40 million people in the U.S. are on well water. And domestic wells are not tested by the state. It's too costly. Many are not tested by the homeowner. Most tests performed for only a few elements. Recommended to add filters. Filters added by well companies remove sediment, but not most pollutants. And chemicals are finding their way into the water tables. Your well water may be part of an aquifer contaminated by a number of sources. The bottom line is that all people really want is to turn on the tap and get a safe, clean, good-tasting glass of water to drink. 87% of people surveyed are concerned about the quality of their drinking water. Every community has its own problems. SOS. So, what are we to drink? Huge marketing campaigns are put out to brainwash the public into believing that bottled water is healthier. 63% of bottled water is tap water. Tap water alternatives. 68% of consumers buy bottled water at 25 cents to $1 per gallon at 2 gallons per day for a family of 3 or 4 equals $15 to $60 per month. $1.33 to $1.70 per day if you're using this kind of water at $2 gallons per day equals $80 to $102 per month. And then there's all of these waters, and believe me, I tried all of these waters. I tried drinking all of them and got huge gastrointestinal stomach aches until all I was drinking was 2 ounces of milk or 2 ounces of orange juice, which was leaving my body completely dehydrated. 2.17 to $4.79 per gallon at 2 gallons per day equals $130 to $287 per month. So what water are you drinking? Bottled water is expensive. 750 gallons of bottled water equals $1,140 per year. The average cost per gallon is $1.52. And most is RO water, which weighs 4 gallons to make 1 gallon of water. And yet with a MultiTier filter, which as Kenton showed us the magazine, showed us the Consumer Reports last night, that MultiTier is the #1 first choice of Consumer Reports. And this filter, which is the filter that I have, and I use before I activate my water with the Gia water unit, is the one that I use, and I have full confidence and happiness knowing that my water is clean before I activate it. So 750 gallons of MultiTier water is $69.95 per year, and the average cost per gallon is 9 cents. So this is what we know. You can buy a filter or you can be a filter. And I'm really curious as to what water you're using. And if you are activating your water with a Gia water activator, what water are you putting into the unit? Hopefully it's not tap water, because then you're just activating into a single file structure your arsenic or your trihalomethanes. And so we want to use the best water. And this is why I wanted to have this part of this presentation first, because I believe that first we need to clean our water. One MultiTier filter saves 8,000 plastic water bottles from the landfills each year. And they have done studies and have proven scientifically that it takes 1,000 years to break down the plastic water bottle. And by the way, they're finding more and more micro bits of plastic in our drinking water that is now making it through our water systems. And they even found plastic water particles, plastic particles in the water in the Trump Tower and in the Environmental Protection Agency. And I have a whole nother PowerPoint presentation if you're interested in that in another time. So which filter should we choose? A granulated activated carbon filter does little more than filter chlorine and lead. Water passes through a bed of loose carbon granules. Water can channel around the carbon instead of filtering through it. And it requires frequent filter changes at 125 to 190 per year, which equals 52 cents per gallon. Then there's reverse osmosis. And the trouble with this is that it's very slow. It wastes 3 to 4 gallons of water to make 1 gallon. It removes beneficial minerals. It produces acidic water. And the filter replacement is $200 per year, plus the membrane replacement every couple of years. And it equals about 52 cents per gallon. Then we have distillation. This is a slow process. It's ineffective at reducing chemicals because they vaporize along with the water. It uses a lot of electricity, it removes minerals, and it produces acidic water as well. We have water softeners, neither filters nor purifiers, but they do add salt to the water. And then we have the filter that I love, and I'm thankful to the woman who is on this call who introduced me to this, and the woman that introduced her, Karyn Green in South Dakota, is on the call, who introduced Kay Johnson to the MultiTier filter, who introduced it to me 7 years ago. And MultiTier International has been the industry leader since 1970, produces the best water filters in the world based on certification, costs less than bottled water or home-delivered water, and has more than 3 million customers worldwide. It saves the environment, and it saves you money. If you have more questions about that, you can get back to me or to the person who invited you to this call. To me, it is just absolutely imperative that we clean our water. And as I have been talking to my husband, and I thought, you know, there's so many good causes to be about in the world. What do I want to be known for? And what do I want to leave a legacy for in my lifetime? And I figured, you know what? I'm 70, maybe 77% water. And I feel like that is a huge thing for me. And besides that, I know the pain of dehydration. And I have suffered the effects of migraines for 3 solid years, about 3 to 5 days a week, waking up with an absolutely plastering migraine. And it's been only in the last 120 days that my complexion has returned to color. If you knew me years ago, I was suffering from weight issues and from a lackluster countenance and from low-grade energy. And now my migraines are gone. If I were to tell the truth about that, I would have to say that the migraines left immediately when I put the cell guard on my cell phone. That really was when I discovered that this feeling that I had EMF sensitivity, which was true. And so when I found an additional piece to my puzzle, which was geowater, I called Dr. Carpenter to ask him because he is the man that I know that knows the most about water. He's written 2 books on it, and I called him and asked him, what is this single file aligned water, and why would it be helping to resurrect my body from the inside out, giving me more energy? Before I turn the time over to Dave, I just want a testimonial from my husband, and I want to share my husband with you, Del Turley, because sometimes you can feel like someone gives you a testimonial that maybe they're exaggerating, but I want my husband to give you his testimonial of what's happened to me since I added activating my water to the mix of cleaning it with my MultiTier.
Hi, my name's Del, and I have to...
He has to group his thoughts because he didn't know he was going to do this.
But I have to tell you, when Karyn started drinking this water, I didn't really know what it was going to do, and I was kind of hesitant. But after a week or 10 days, we were sitting, something like that, we were sitting out in the backyard, and she looked at the big lawn behind the house and said, "You want to play tag?" I just started laughing. Oh my goodness. We've been married for about 16 months, and that kind of had never happened. Her energy level was different. She would be so tired she'd fall asleep at night at about 7 o'clock at night. She'd wake up later and do some more stuff, but it was just drag, and that has completely changed. There's mornings that she wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning and says, "You want to go shopping?"
Grocery shopping. The closed stores aren't open yet.
So it's been amazing. Her skin color has changed. The hydration is also, it's made her look younger. She's lost weight. It's just amazing. I have felt better. There's just a complete difference in what good water has done for our lives. And we were at some grandkids' house the other day, and one of the kids asked for a drink of water, and they just went to the tap to get a drink. And my gut reaction was like, "No, you got to get some good water." So it's after I gained an appreciation for it, I wouldn't be without it, and I've seen major differences. It's become a cause and a mission to help people understand the benefit of this. And Karyn has been very dedicated to spreading that word. I'll hand it back to her.
Okay, now we get to introduce Dr. Carpenter. And I'm going to pull up this wonderful bio, because I feel that I want you to understand who this man is. And he's played a more powerful part in my life than he even probably realizes, because he's one of the most generous and kind and giving men that I know. And he's one of the few men that I just have felt like I just trust completely. And so if he tells me to do or not do something, I'll take it pretty strongly. But I want to share with you this bio. My guest tonight on Perfect Solutions for Cellular Pollution is the renowned Dr. Carpenter. Dr. Carpenter has been involved in natural care, healthcare as a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist for over 20 years, and has worked with tens of thousands of people. He believes that health involves balancing one's life with adequate water, clean air, good nutrition and diet, exercise, having a positive mental attitude, and living in harmony with nature. No matter what else we accomplish in our lives, when we lose our health, we realize that it's the most important thing we have next to our loved ones, and many spend their fortunes attempting to get it back again. Dr. Carpenter has spent a good deal of his life teaching people how to maintain wellness, allowing them to enjoy their lives more fully. He's a graduate of Central States College of Health Sciences in Columbus, Ohio. At that time, the oldest naturopathic school in America, as a naturopathic medical doctor, and is nationally board certified. He also received a bachelor's of science in natural health from Clayton College of Natural Health in Birmingham, Alabama. Member in good standing of the Idaho Naturopathic Physicians Association and the International Association of Medical Acupuncturists. the past president and a member of the board of directors of the International Iridology Practitioners Association, author of Change Your Water, Change Your Life, and the 5 Pillars of Good Health. And again, he will be on next week with the 5 Pillars of Good Health for all of you who want to bring your friends and come along. Dr. Carpenter is a sought-after wellness speaker and educator, as well as maintaining a very busy private practice. He has dedicated his professional life to helping others achieve health and vitality, and often appears on radio and television. He works with all kinds of people and health conditions, from infants to professional athletes, watching people get their lives back as they implement what he calls correct principles brings him much joy. As he often tells people, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing day after day after day while expecting a different result. If you are looking for a change in the results you are getting, then you'll need to change what you are doing. And I tagged a bunch of people on this, and I could have gone on tagging more, but I wanted to share Dr. Carpenter's amazing background with you. And I'm going to change the speaker view so that you can see him and listen to him. And he's going to be speaking on single file aligned water. So thank you, Dr. Carpenter, for being on our call, and welcome for next week when you talk about 5 pillars of health, and you have the whole hour without me interrupting. Oh, you're muted. Okay, now you're unmuted.
Now I'm unmuted. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Well, I really appreciate the kind introduction, and I'm looking forward to sharing with all of you. I'm going to do something a little different than maybe even Karyn's expecting, because I want to give you a little of a background of my journey in learning about water and how important it is. And I want to start out with the metaphor that Karyn used earlier about fish in a fish tank. I started using that, and many people have used it since hearing it, but I started using that back in the 70s. And one of the reasons was I was asked to go into grade schools and junior high schools and educate a little bit in health classes, which was a real blessing for me and a real opportunity. But I realized I needed to teach principles about health for the kids and help them get it. And there's a lesson that I want to share with all of you tonight, because I want you to understand how programmed we get from all of the marketing and all of the people out there who might be considered gurus or the authorities. And I just want to use this little metaphor again and just kind of backtrack for a minute and make this point. So when I stand in front of a group of kids, and let's just say we're in a 6th grade class, we'll talk about health, and then I'll bring up the fish tank, and I'll explain that the cells in the body are just like the fish in that tank. And each cell is in water. And as the food's brought in through the water, they eat the food, whether it's a fish or a cell, and then they digest it, they use it for energy, and they get rid of the waste and put it back in the water. That's the way the fish work, that's the way our cells work. So then I tell the kids, over time, that water's going to get polluted and dirty. We're not even dealing with the other unseen pollution. We're just dealing with the obvious here. But that's when I like to ask the kids, okay, so the fish are starting to get sick. What should we do? Should we give them a vitamin? Should we give them a mineral? Or give them a multivitamin and mineral? Should we give them Prozac to make them happy? Should we give them a purple pill or a red pill? And we have a fun conversation. And as I'm asking these questions, all the hands start shooting up, as you can imagine. And all of the kids, almost like instantly, they go, well, no, silly, you just have to change the water. And I think that's really profound, because as adults, we don't seem to understand that simple concept. As adults, we go to our doctors and we do get the purple pill or the blue pill or the red pill or the orange pill. And they convince us that somehow that's what we needed to fix our body. So I love this discussion about water because to me it's foundational for good health. You have to have good water in your body and you have to be hydrated. Like Karyn, I've been interested in water ever since I went to medical school back in the late 70s. And I've had quite an interesting journey. When I was in school, they taught us that the only safe water to drink was water that had been distilled. Well, distilled water today, we know, takes all the minerals out, but it also doesn't take out all of the pollutants. It's not really a good solution, and it's very time consuming to clean your water up that way. So I appreciated what Karyn shared about the MultiTier filters because, in my opinion, they are some of the absolute best filters out there. And we need to have clean water. We don't want all this contamination going in our body. But then I started looking at other types of water. I wanted to know, what's the best water to drink? What's the life force in the water? Where does it come from? How is all of that evaluated? And I started reading about some Swiss scientists who discovered that what the foresters were learning, that as water travels down out of the mountains and it gets into those slower moving rivers and canals and streams, long before it gets to the big cities, it loses its life force. It loses its ability to transform plants in the same way that it does high up in the mountains. And we've discovered that there's a lot of properties that were not understood about water, and we still don't know all there is to know about water, I promise you. There's a lot more that will come out. But I started reading a lot of books. One of them was this one right here. This particular one is You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty, which is Dr. Bat Mangalage's second book. Karyn showed you the first one, so I won't hold that one up. But another great book that makes you realize that one of the foundations of health is hydration. You've got to be hydrated. And most of us dehydrate as we get older, and there's a number of reasons for that. And one of the things people often ask me is, well, I'm drinking great water and I'm drinking, half my body weight in ounces every day or 3/4 of my body weight, I still have wrinkles. Why is that? Well, it's because the body's ability to take the water into the cell is reduced, and it's also because the body's or the cell's ability to hang on to that water is reduced as we age. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but one of the things that causes that is a decrease in the amount of hyaluronic acid in our body. That holds on to the water. But to get it in the cell, it does need to be in single file alignment, which we're going to come back to and really get into some more detail in a few minutes. But I want to talk about this idea of hydration, because hydration is so important. Dr. B, I like to call him, wrote another book, and this little book, Water Cures, Drugs Kill. Well, this is a wonderful book. I'm not sure you can buy this book anymore. I believe it might be out of print. But basically, Dr. B took a lot of patients who were dealing with different kinds of health issues and showed how hydrating them would help those problems go away. Hydration is at the foundation, so it's very, very important. Then I got into another book that I believe is one of my favorites. This one's called The Water Puzzle and the Hexagonal Key by Dr. Mushik Jeon from Korea. He was one of the world's leading experts on water at the time, back in the late 90s and around 2000. And he had a theory, as he was studying water, that the water in our cells changes according to the health of our cells. And the water surrounding unhealthy cells, for example, like cancer cells, is very much different than the water that Karyn is drinking right now and that's surrounding healthy cells. So it's really important that you realize that water changes inside your body, even in different zones. Again, that's not something that most people even think about, because we all think of water as water, and it's not. It's not all created equally. Another book, if you really want to get into some more scientific stuff, is The Miracle Molecule Structure of Water by a couple of Korean scientists who were proteges of Dr. Jayne. And they talk about 3 different types of water and water structures that are really important to the body. I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of that. There's a lot of information there that probably won't even make sense to most of us, but the research is incredible. But even with them, they didn't fully understand what Dr. And I've forgotten his name now, Agre, discovered and received the Nobel Prize for. And that was the discovery of the aquaporins, and the fact that the water in your body, no matter what type of structure it has when you drink it, has to be converted into a single file aligned water, meaning that it can't come in clumps. It has to be in a single molecule line. Kind of think of it as a group of soldiers all marching together, and then they get to a certain place where they can only march one wide. That's the cell wall in the aquaporin. And this research is groundbreaking, because here's what you and I have had to do. As kids, we're more efficient at this, but we expend energy to take that water clump and break it down into a single file aligned system. In other words, to get it to go single file and aligned as it enters into the cell. That's how we hydrate. So one of the reasons that as we get older, people become less energetic and more lethargic is because they're spending a lot of energy trying to do that to water that is not structured properly. And Dr. Jayne called it hexagonal water, and the ionizing units will help create that to some degree. They also diffuse the size of the clumps, but they still don't do single file alignment. The ability to look at this is incredible, and it was only available, by the way, after we got into electron microscopes and some of the research utilities we have with sophisticated computers and electron microscopes and so on. That's why things are starting to break forward into a faster way of understanding water, and we're understanding it better and better and better. But for you and I to really stay hydrated and to optimize our energy, we have to get single file aligned water to get into the cells. So now you have to ask yourself this question: how am I going to do that in the most efficient way? And the most efficient way to do that is by using one of these intelligent water pitchers. Of course, after you've cleaned up the water, you want to take all the garbage out, because putting garbage in more efficiently is not a good way to feel better. I think we all understand that. But once you've got clean water and you put it in one of these pitchers, and I won't even try to tell you I understand what they're doing exactly, because I don't. But I know that patented technology is creating water that is hydrating people faster and better, because it is following the concept and principle of single file alignment. That's a big deal. And it's so breathtaking to watch people who are drinking this and seeing the increase in energy, seeing their increase in skin hydration, for example. When the skin is rehydrating, so are your internal organs. You see, you don't realize that the only difference between a grape and a raisin is the amount of water inside the skin. Well, our internal organs get dehydrated just like your skin does. And that's one of the things that contributes to illnesses. So getting this single file aligned water inside the cells is the key. And by reducing the amount of energy our bodies have to go through to do that, is a wonderful way to enhance hydration in everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're 1 year old, 6 months old, or 100 years old. If you can reduce the amount of energy you're expending to create that single file alignment for your water, your body's going to be more hydrated and it's going to be more energized. And that's why when Karyn and Dale were just talking a little bit about how much more energy she has, and I'm sure he didn't say it, but I'm sure he would say he has more energy as well. Because what happens is you're using less of your resources to get the water inside the cells where it's needed, because it's already pre-prepared for that. It's already in single file alignment. And that's really the secret. And I'm excited that this technology has been developed. I'm excited that somebody was able to figure out how to do that. I mean, it's absolutely 100% changing the world, and it's going to continue to do that. And I'm just looking to make sure we're not getting too over time here. It looks like we're okay for a couple more minutes, Karyn. Should we open it up for questions at this point? I know we've only got 3 or 4 minutes, so.
I wanted, before we do open it up for questions, again, for those of you who just got on, I want to invite you back next Thursday. We're having these perfect solutions for cellular pollutions calls now weekly. It started out as me just wanting to share my notes from the GEA Wellness Conference that I attended, but I've invited Dr. Carpenter back again next week to share with us the 5 pillars of health. He will be discussing water again as part of that presentation, because that's one of his 5 pillars, as well as he will go on and share with us what we can do to have optimal energy, and that we can share that as our mission, calling, and purpose with our loved ones, so that they can have fuller, more healthy and rejuvenating lives. And so I just want to thank you, Dave, for being on. And then open this up now for questions. And so please feel free to talk to Dave. Anybody?
They might be muted, Karyn.
Okay.
This is Jayne Gardner coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, and wish I had known about that school many, many years ago. That's very exciting. This is very interesting stuff. I studied Dr. Emoto's work a long time ago. I think that was his name. Seeing sounds change the actual cells of water, and from happy to sad. But anyway, I'm really all in for this with you. I've been looking for a good water source. I do have a question. I'm going from ownership for a year of rental. What do you do about us people that are going to be renting for a year? Is there a solution for that?
Well, yes. I mean, some of the filters are absolutely portable. You can hook them up. You can move with them. In fact, I'm pretty sure MultiTier one that can be hooked up to the sink and then taken with you to the next project. And the GEA water, intelligent water, is certainly, it's a portable pitcher, so you can take that anywhere you want to.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much. I'm all in for this. I love all the research you've done, and appreciate you and Karyn getting the word out, because this is something I was going to do when I bought a rehab 3 years ago, and I didn't do a water system yet because I didn't know which was the best one, and here I am moving. So, but it's good to know that it's portable for the rest of us, because it'll be at least a year before I have something permanent probably again. So thank you very much. I've
moved my MultiTier at least 7 times in 7 years. And my GEA, the nice thing about the GEA, the activator, it doesn't have a filter replacement. So once you buy it, it's yours, and it works for 29 years if you're making a half a gallon a day. So
I don't think I'm going to live a whole lot longer than that. So it could be a lifetime for me.
Don't be surprised if you do.
Well, I'll be 93 in 30 years, so I'm kind of thinking, but you never
Awesome.
know. I didn't have good water all these years, but I know it will reverse some of the damage. So, and I understand about that. When my father passed away, they told me to take his medications and just flush them down the toilet. I was a little overwhelmed by that whole thought process. So I get it. I just didn't know what to use, and I feel like I have found this when Karyn was talking about it earlier. I found the right.
Can you talk to Karyn?
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm sorry, we do have another call with people joining for the beautiful How to Mend a Broken Heart. And so if anybody wants to ask a quick question, please do so, because we're so blessed to have you on the call, Dr. Carpenter.
I have a quick question. This is Julie from Arizona. And I just had a question. In some of the information I was reading about the eye water, it said it helps with the alkalinity of the water. And I wasn't sure if that was true or not. So can you address that?
Well, the GIA system doesn't alkalize water, but alkalinity in the water is a very small part of the big picture. Water, if it's purified water and purified in the right way, if it's clean water, in nature it's slightly alkaline just because of the minerals. And GIA water will pretty much be that way. Your body will alkalize the water if it needs to, as long as there's nothing far out of balance with your pancreas. Alkalized water is only one small part of the conversation here. The more important thing is the hydration ability, because your cells will create alkalization. Your kidneys will help deal with that if they're getting hydrated optimally, let's say. So that's the most important part of the question. But that's a great question, and I appreciate that. And I may not have answered it exactly what you're looking for, and if not, let's talk and I'll make sure we get it answered, okay?
Oh, we have got a comment from wonderful Mimi MP. She says, I'm so happy to have found this now because my husband is looking for a water purifying system. And he's a student, he's a studier, so he may have some questions for you, Dr. Carpenter. And then Jayne says, thank you, Karyn and Dr. Carpenter will be adding once I have moved, most likely next month. And we hope that all of you will please call us, because we can tell you how you can do this in a very affordable step-by-step way. You do want to clean your water first. You don't want to activate dirty water. And MultiTier doesn't even do a credit check. They just do $170 down for the one that I have that takes out the trihalomethanes, giardia, crypto, arsenic, etc. So get back, like Robin, if you're interested, get back with Julie McClaws. And if you came because I invited you, get back with me on that. And then if you came because you're interested, you already have the MultiTier and you're interested in the GIA water, please contact us and we can share with you how you can do that in an affordable way so that you can get it right away. I did not know how to do that. So I just took my house payment and went ahead and bought it. And within 7 days, the words came to my mind while I was sitting in a bathtub drinking a glass of this water. The words that came to my mind were exactly these, and it was like it came from outer space. And the words were, this water is resurrecting you from the inside out. And then call Dave Carpenter. I didn't call him right away. 3 days went past. And the next, I was awakened in the middle of the night with the words, this is the delivery style that your body needs for the nutrients that your body has not been able to assimilate since your gastric bypass in 1997. So then I did call Dave and I said, what does this all mean? And I didn't tell him about the second sentence, but he did say the exact same words. He said, this is the delivery system that can take those nutrients that your body's needing. And so he's been helping me with some of those things that my body has been needing, because I've been really starving for nutrition since that gastric bypass. So I hope that you will put this on your calendar next Thursday night on October 12th. Come back at 6 p.m. These calls all recorded, but you can feel the energy when you're on the call. And so we hope that you'll be back with us with Dr. Carpenter when he shares the 5 pillars of health. Again, he will be reiterating the water, but he's going to talk a lot about glutathione, the master hormone that your body needs in order to remain youthful. And I have been using that since he introduced that to me as well. He said with those 2 things, you're going to find youth returning. And I can tell you, Dave, it is amazing. My energy is consistent. I feel my laugh coming back, my sense of humor, even my ability to think wittily, and I'm finding that I'm being funny again. I used to not be funny anymore, and I was like, what happened to my sense of humor? My sense of humor literally dried up. So thank you so much for those of you who are on the call, and Kay, give Ron special thanks for those slides, which he created in the PowerPoint that I used. I added a few of my own, but Ron Johnson has done a lot of work in paving the way for us to understand MultiTier. So thank you. If you'd like to stay on the call, you're more than welcome as we go over the new recipe book for the Song and Scent method, which is using essential oils in Gia water to make spritzes that are emulsified in spritzing your face. Your skin is your largest organ, and your skin cells take that water in through your aquapores. And so be back with us in just 2 minutes, or don't leave because we've got some more coming on. But thank you, Dave. We love you. And
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.